Welcome, everybody. You all are in for a very special treat tonight. We got to hear some last night, and I'm all ready to listen again. Sheriff Mack came up from California when we asked him because we were concerned for our safety and whether or not we're going to have trouble again on the farm or have our personal property stolen. And he came up and met with our local sheriff yesterday. And while he was put into a challenging situation, I think it really worked out for good. And I'm so thankful that he was willing to come up regardless of us being able to promise him any monetary reward. So whatever donations you all are able to give would be awesome for him. It all goes to him. Sheriff Mack was the first sheriff to ever sue the federal government, and he won. On the Supreme Court. Really big deal. Anyways, welcome, Sheriff Mack.
Thank you. This whole thing, and I thank all of you for being here, but this whole thing just comes down to one key issue. Are we going to follow what was originally established for our country back when the Founding Fathers formed our country? Are we going to follow the principles of freedom, or are we going to sacrifice all that for political correctness of the day? There's a lot of people saying now that the Constitution no longer applies, that it's outdated, antiquated, done by a bunch of old guys that may have known what they were talking about in 1776, but today it just doesn't fit. And that they actually appoint themselves to say which parts are antiquated and outdated and which ones aren't, and this is the ones we keep. And you can't do that with freedom. It's not a cafeteria. You don't, oh, I'll take a little bit of that, oh, but that, oh, those gun rights, man, guns have always given me a little indigestion. I don't want any of those. And it really boils down to not what you like or not what your opinion is. Everybody has an opinion, and I'll be the first one to tell you, mine doesn't matter any more than the barbers down on Main Street. What I'm doing here today is I'm just the messenger. I'm bringing you a message of something that I participated in when I was a sheriff in Arizona. I am no longer a sheriff. I left the sheriff's office after working in law enforcement nearly 20 years. I was sheriff 8 years, and I was a small town sheriff, and I decided that there came a time in my life where I said, that's it. I'm not going along with out of control, stupid government anymore. And I decided to sue my own government. And why would a small town sheriff take on such an undertaking? Why would I do that? That's not your sheriff's job. What is your sheriff supposed to do? He's supposed to arrest the bad guys and run the jail and serve papers and stop the drug violence and drug trafficking. Let's see, how long have we been trying to get rid of drugs in our country? Well, the drug war was declared 40 years ago. We spend about $80 billion a year to stop this, and what have we done so far? What have we accomplished with that? Well, we've made drugs more prevalent, more abundant, more potent, and more expensive, or at least more profitable. Holy smoke, look who came in.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, good to see you guys. Come on in. We saved you a couple of chairs.
Oh, man.
And if the kids get bad in the back, would you please take care of them? So this whole thing is on the drug war. Even if, okay, let's say we're successful. We get rid of drugs in your community, all of them. They're all gone, which will never happen. But let's just say, for argument, we did it. What would we have? Drug-free tyranny. Because we still have out-of-control government. And so that's one of the reasons why I decided I'm not going along anymore. And the Brady bill was it for me. I said, that's it. this is the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm not going along. Clinton had already, Bill Clinton, President Clinton had already ticked me off enough times what he was doing, and this was the time I said no. So, what brought me to the point, though, that I'm willing to risk everything because I just have to sue the federal government. I'm going to sue the Clinton administration. And I don't know if any of you have seen the long list of what happened to people that crossed Bill Clinton or his wife. But there's a long list of people, and I didn't want to be on that list all that bad. So anyway, what brought me to make the decision that I'm going to do that? Well, I have to tell you a little bit about my history, and before we get into this presentation here, I want to take about 15 minutes and tell you what brought me to that point. And really, all I wanted to be was a cop, or actually I wanted to start my law enforcement career with the FBI. My father was a retired FBI agent. I didn't grow up learning about patriotism or the Founding Fathers or the Constitution. I wasn't born into a constitutionalist home or anything like that. I didn't start my law enforcement career as a constitutionalist. I'd never even read the Constitution in my life, okay, until a certain point later. But I'd never read it. Didn't really care about it. I was a nice enough guy, I guess, just because of my upbringing and my nature. In 20 years of law enforcement, I never beat anybody up. I never shot anybody. I never nightsticked anybody. I never maced anybody. So I could never been part of that. Don't mace me, bro. You know, that I was against all that. I hate seeing when cops are out of control and they do wrong things like that and beat people, and I'm so against that. The Rodney King beating, we actually had cops said they were trained to do that. That was wrong. It was immoral and it was wrong. And the times that cops do this and then try to make excuses for it, I'm on the other guy's side. Sorry. It's unnecessary. You don't need to treat people like that. So, I just wanted to be in law enforcement, and I graduated I'm from Arizona, my wife is from Arizona, and I graduated from a community college in Arizona, and then a year or so later, I decided that I want to go back to college and I want to be an FBI agent. And I go up to Utah to go to school in Provo, Utah, and while I'm working my way through college, I got a part-time job as a meter maid. And absolutely, meter maid. Parking enforcement cadet. Okay? And so, I would only work 4 or 5 hours at a time, and I would come back with 60, 70 tickets. And so what does that do per week? Yeah, we're talking hundreds of tickets a week. And my dear friends, I got to tell you this. This is something that I've had to repent for. And I'm not kidding. Tickets, most of the time, are wrong and immoral. Because you don't have to threaten anybody, you don't have to hurt anybody, but you're going to get soaked big time. And ticket writing, I came to term it as this: taxation through citation. And it's all about revenue. In fact, right now, since the economy has gone south, how many cities have you heard ask their officers to write more tickets? Is it a safety issue? No. It's a money issue. They need more money, and they order the cops to write more tickets. And San Francisco is the latest one, but Flint, Michigan did it, Detroit did it, a lot of other places have done it, and San Francisco is the most recent that made the news about it. And they were asking their cops to write more parking tickets because those are easier to collect. You just issue it to the vehicle and get the money, okay? Or you tow their vehicle and take it away, okay? So, the FBI thing never worked out, and so I decided to hire on full-time after I graduated from college. I hired on full-time with Provo Police Department, and I thought maybe the FBI would still come calling, and they'd see that I'm a good cop, and they'll want me to be an FBI, and that never worked out, so I just stayed there. And I really enjoyed it. And I had a traumatic experience back in 1982 where my sergeant asked me to go undercover. Totally undercover. Big old long hair, bushy hair, beard, you know, changed my name. Don't get to be seen with we had 3 little kids at the time. Don't get to be with my wife and kids in public ever. Okay? Unless we go to a town 2 hours away. So once I went on a date with my wife to Las Vegas. It's the only place. This is the only place I fit in. You know, looking like a scuzzball. So anyway, it really changed my outlook on things because I lived in the drug culture and I saw the drug culture personally. And I really started to question the drug war. And I started to question other things we do in law enforcement because this assignment just reinforced what we were doing on patrol. Bring in the numbers. Doesn't matter if you're changing anything. Doesn't matter if you're making this a better place to live. Doesn't matter what you're really doing. Just show us the numbers. And that's what we were brainwashed to do. That's what I was asked to do. And I'm not going to play second string. I was hoping to set records in writing tickets. After my undercover assignment, I got assigned back to patrol for a few weeks, and then I got some other assignments on community outreach programs from the police department. And it's a beautiful day, and I'm writing tickets, of course, because that's what cops do. That's our job. And it's early in the evening, maybe 5 or 6, and I'm parked at a 4-way stop. And it's 600 west, 300 south, and it's right next to an elementary school. And I'm making notes on my daily activity report, and I'm about 25 feet from the intersection, facing north, just south of the stop sign. And it's a 4-way stop, as I said, and all of a sudden I look up, and this lady runs a stop sign right in front of me. I'm the only living thing within 100 feet of this intersection. There's nobody else around. It's clear intersection, and a police car sitting right there, as close to the intersection as I could possibly get without being illegal, and she runs the stop sign. And I'm saying, what is this lady doing? And I looked inside her car, and I could actually tell what the problem was. She looks over at me at the end. She looks over at me, she kind of is bewildered, looks at me and goes, as if to say, what else could go wrong today? And she immediately pulls over, but what I looked at inside her car is it looked like the Tasmanian devil. And all it was a bunch of kids. And maybe some of you ladies that have had 2 or 3 or 15 kids could relate. 6, good, we're up to 6, same as my mom. And they were just giving this lady such a hard time, and she was trying to settle them down. She'd lost her place on the road. She lost track of where she was on the road, ran the stop sign, looks over at me, throws her arm, pulls over. She immediately I don't even have to turn on my red blue light. She just pulls over because she knows she's had. And I get up to the car, and she already has her license and registration out the window. And so she's not saying a word. This lady literally changes my life. And she never said one word to me. And so I'm glad she's not crying, she's not fighting, she's not playing the wife card or the mother card. Oh, you wouldn't want to write your wife a ticket for taking care of all your kids, would you? Well, that's all I was doing. And it was very obvious that this lady had no money. She couldn't have paid this ticket if it was a $5 ticket. She was driving a car that wasn't worth $300. It was an old Datsun compact station wagon with primer gray showing through. Datsun, not Nissan, Datsun. Show you how old it was. And her kids were very unkempt, very poorly dressed, as was she. And but poor people get in accidents too. And this lady's going to be taught a lesson. You don't run through stop signs. And so, you know, if I was really a public servant, I may have said something like to her, look, ma'am, when you're taking care of your kids and they start acting up in the car, pull over and take care of them and then go down the road. And like right now, why don't you go over and let them play at this playground at the elementary school for a little while and get some of that Tasmanian energy out of them. And then after you guys settle down, go on about your business.